right? So we would have encountered a database in our day-to-day life, right? So for example, uh, we have some applications, right? In sales, we'll be using databases for storing customers information, for storing the product information and purchase information, right? So you can visualize an online store like Flipkart or Amazon, right? So they store the customers information, they store the profile of the customers, right? They store the profile of the customers, they store the products that are being sold in that particular online store. They also have some transaction files that contains the purchase information of the customers, right? So whenever a customer buys a like whenever customers buys some product or services in a online store, right? So the transaction will be recorded, and the transaction will be, the purchase information is stored as a log file, right? So most of the organizations, commercial organizations, they use database for storing payments and receipt, right? So whenever you need to uh, whenever you need to automate something in an organization, right? They will automate the finance department in an organization, right? So even in universities, long back, whenever they started automation in universities, the first thing they do is that they automate the finance department, payable section, accounts receivable, payable, right? Inventory information, right? So like any organization, they would like to automate the finance department so that they gain more control over the assets and liabilities of an organization, right? So you would have seen a database that is being used for generating receipts, payments, managing the assets and liabilities, account balances, and so on, right? So we also have databases for storing the human resources details, right? So we'll store the profile of the different employees working in an organization, their payroll details, tax details, benefits, right? So again, this can be stored using a database, right? So in manufacturing, for management of the supply chain, right? So for managing the inventory, so you need to manage the stocks in an organization in such a way that you need to get maximum profit, right? So if the inventory, if there's a huge demand for a particular product, and if the stock is not available, it's a loss to a business. Similarly, there is no demand for a product, right? So there is no demand for a product and you have a lot of stock of a particular product or a service, again it's going to be a loss to your business. So you need to manage the inventory level in some optimal level, right? So you need to manage the inventories in warehouses, stores, right? And for management of the supply chain and tracking production of items in factories, we go for database management system, right? So DBMS or databases, generally they are used in finance department to manage the accounts receivable, accounts payable, to manage the assets and liabilities of an organization. They are used in human resources to store information about the employee details, salaries, pay benefits that are being offered to a particular employee, right? So in marketing or in sales, it is used to store the information about the product details, customer details, and purchase details of the customers, right? So in manufacturing, it is used to manage the supply chain for tracking of production of items in factories, to maintain the inventory in warehouses and stores. We go for databases, right? So database applications. So banking and financial institutions, we store customers information, we store the account details of the customers. For managing the loans and banking transactions, we need to go for database systems, right? Similarly, credit card information. So credit card, again, you have the account details of the customer and you manage the purchase details of customers using credit card, and you need to generate monthly statements, right? So every month you need to generate for a given credit card account number, you need to generate the list of purchases that are made by the customer. Universities, right? So NIT Trichy, like maybe we'll be storing the students information. So whenever you register for a particular institute, they will store the students information. So they also contain some course information, and whenever you register for the course, it contains student details with course registrations, and finally grade sheet is generated, right? So database, they are being used in universities for student registration, for storing student information, for course registration, for generating grade sheets, and so on, right? In airlines, they are used for storing the schedule information and for making reservations. And the airlines was the first to use database in a geographically distributed manner, right? So these are some of the applications of databases in different industries, namely banking and financial institutions, academic institutions, airlines, and so on.